Shalom, Yashrala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and ever will. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, and pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Real quick, before I actually get into this here article, let me pull up another article real fast. Give me a second. All right, this is the article I want to start with, but Lord's willing, we can get this here video recorded. I've been having some issues on recording, but hey, it's all through the spirit because when I first recorded this here video, I was going into it about how this is foreshadowing the things to come in America. But the next article I'm gonna pull up is gonna further back these things up, right? So it says roadblock at fiery protests in Lebanon as currency crashes to record low against the U.S. dollar. Right? It says fresh protests have erupted in Lebanon on Tuesday following the record crash of the Lebanese pound against the U.S. dollar on the black market as the country lurches further into the crisis. Demonstrators blocked off several of the main thoroughfares in the capital Beirut by burning tires and dumpsters, causing traffic jams, including on the roads leading to the airport, according to the Lebanese national news agency. Let's not click on these damn links. Okay, it says there were also reports that in the city of Sidon, south of Beirut, protesters forced the closure of the Bureau de Change office as they vented their anger at plummeting exchange rates. Footage and images shared on social media from Beirut show garbage containers being torched, traffic being blocked, and protesters shouting about the deteriorating living conditions. All right, and is that not going on here in America as far as the deteriorating living conditions? All right, as people don't realize, even though they are devaluing your money with all these stimulus packages and things. All right. But nevertheless, people don't realize that, things are getting more expensive. But not just that. You had a lot of these business closures and things like that, man. So when these businesses open back up, they're going to have to try to increase their sales or increase their income revenue to try to make up for some of the losses that they had. But nevertheless, you have a lot of these people that are still without jobs, still on unemployment. All right. And the more and more the government has to print out money, all right, the less and less your money becomes. All right. And when people start realizing these things, like we'll get into the other article, this is what these things are leading to. All right. It says there were also reports of protests breaking out in other parts of the country. On Tuesday, the midday black market exchange rate was almost 10,000 Lebanese pounds to the dollar, meaning that the minimum monthly wage in Lebanon would be the equivalent to just $68. Imagine that. You know how Jake will go to the gas station, put like $5, $2, $10 on some gas, right? Imagine having to go to the gas station and putting $10,000 on gas, and you only getting the equivalent to $10 worth of gas, right? Many people have turned to the black market to access the more stable U.S. dollar in the past several months due to Lebanon's banking crisis and increasingly devaluing currency. And so these things are all being orchestrated and set up by the people that are in control. It says, all right, that was all that I wanted to read in this here article because the rest of it goes into some other stuff. Now let me go into this other article. Let me get back to this article real fast. All right, so it says Pelosi appointed general recommends establishing permanent quick reaction troops in D.C. to protect the government from the governed. Army general appointed by the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to lead a security study after the January 6th Capitol riot has called for setting up a quick reaction force to permanently stand ready for threats against the government. All right. And so what are they planning and preparing for? And they have a lot of these catalysts that set up for predictive programming to get your mind prepped for certain things and in a condition to be more willing to accept the things that's going on. All right. So just imagine if you wouldn't have seen this riot out here at the Capitol building. All right. And they were like, all right, we're about to start putting troops out on the streets and everything like that. People will go crazy, man. All right. But now that they have something to point to, like, see, you don't want this to happen again. These Trump people, just because Trump's out of office didn't mean they disappeared. No, they still there. They was talking about, I forgot what the setting was at this here riot, like what the situation was. I forgot what it was. But, right after that, you actually had the inauguration. Now, after this was like round one, but when you go look at what they was planning on round two, they said they was going to try to recreate those in every state, at all the state capitals. So what? Again, the government can come out and say, see, this is what they're planning, plotting, doing. We need to have, right now they're setting this here military force up in D.C., All right. Now, what's going to stop them from trying to expand this to all the other states, around the Capitol buildings? And that's where it's going to start. But see, these people don't live at the Capitol buildings. They live all over each state. So they're going to have to increase more and more troops, man. All right. And how quick and easy would it be for you to raise up a large army, a domestic army here in America for the American government? You know what I'm saying? When they the one printing money and everybody else, and they the ones that just shut down everybody's job, so they put everybody in a financial crisis, right? So all they got to do is like, yo, why don't you just join the National Guard and we'll pay you X amount of dollars and we'll wipe away your debt and everything like that. You have a bunch of people signing up for that, man. All right. So it says the so-called QRF will be staffed with National Guard troops who reside in Washington full-time. Troops from National Guard units from around the nation who are sent to Washington on 3 or 6 month rotations. Now you got to think about that. Why not just use the full-time National Guard troops that you got in DC, and then the ones that are the weekenders that come in or they rotate? I forgot how it is, like whether 3 or 6 months they'll be a full, they'll actually do a not a tour, but they'll pretty much be on duty. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, so you really have two different. You have active and a reserve. All right, the National Guard Reserve, the Army Reserve. Like when you in the reserves, it's like you got a regular job. You go, like, you might work at McDonald's or some shit like that. But on the weekends, they call you to come train, and if they need you to go out, they'll actually put you on the active roster, right? So why not just use this? Saying the Capitol building ain't that big. Oh, but wait, they plan on having it a lot larger than that. All right, and DC is not a big place, right? So it says or officers drawn from the federal law enforcement agencies. Retired U.S. Lieutenant General Russell Honore said in a draft copy of his report, the executive summary obtained on Thursday by Fox News didn't specify how large the QRF should be, like I was just saying, all right? In any case, the strategy would permanently militarize the nation's capital with an active duty force dedicated full-time to responding to security emergencies in Washington's government district. Honore, who previously said that U.S. Capitol Police may have been complicit in the riot, and the reason they say things like this, just like with the police, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, the police are ill-equipped. They're not trained to deal with, certain things. So we got to bring in people who are trained for these things, the military men, all right? And this is why you've seen over the last, 10, 15 years, the American police force have become more and more militarized, getting all these MRAP vehicles and everything like that, man. All right? All they're doing is moving the equipment in, so when they're ready to strike, everything's already there. All right. It says many of the new hires will be intelligent analysts who will monitor the security threats against the U.S. Capitol. Let me see. Just read this here. Nevertheless, we're going to just get into some scriptures real quick, but let me read this. It says Republicans such as Tom Cotton have suggested that the security threats in Washington are being overstated and that the National Guard troops should be sent home. The top of Honore's draft report sported a special Capitol logo created for his task force, including a caption at the bottom, "Never forget," right? Just like 9/11, right? They keep going on the phrase "never forget, never forget, never forget." Because why? They want to keep that fresh into your mind so they can always go back to that. Like, see, this is what happens. This is what happens. All right. So now tying these two articles together, right? Because you had in Lebanon how they were saying from facing financial crises, all right, and things like that, manipulation and corruption from the government, all right, the people are starting to lash out at the government, right? Same thing is going on over here in America, man. You got a orchestrated economic collapse, all right? And they've raised the taxes so high over here, all right? They got rid of all the jobs over here, and then they shut down the remaining businesses for a while, all right? The unemployment rate is sky high right now, all right? So you have, a pot that's starting to boil over right now, all right? So it says, 2 Ezra 15 and 14, woe unto the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And so this is what they're planning. What they're saying that they're planning on is going to happen. A so-called insurrection where all out purge, chaos. People just going at it. Before it was basically Jake versus Esau. Now they got these Edomites versus the government. All right, the Trumpers versus the Bideners. You know what I'm saying, and so on and so forth, man. But nevertheless, You know, we know that these things are all being prepared by Esau for his ultimate goal and his ultimate agenda, which is what? Coming down with great wrath on the Lord's on the saints of the Lord, man. All right. Verse 15 again, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and of course their actions shall stand in their power. And when these things on January 6th that was happening, they kept using a lot of different words like sedition, insurrection, uprisings, right? Well, riot, same way, but going into these things, this is pretty much how it was written in the scriptures. This is what like Habakkuk 2 says, for the visions yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. All right now we see these things speaking loud and clear as everything is starting to, how they say, Megatron is starting to form together or whatever. All right, verse 15 or verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, because we have a lot of different catalysts that could trigger this. With the you're not gonna be able to fly nowhere unless you got a jab and identification for that. Or you can have insurrections where people are traveling from state to state, like I said in the January 6th protest. You had this dude who came. I mean, I know a lot of them came from everywhere else, but one of these dudes who made the newspaper, who either stole like a sign or the podium or something like that, he wanted taking a picture with something. This dude was from the city where I'm from, right? And so, like, not only did he make the news there and on the national news, he made the news here. All right, what was crazy about him, he was a stay-at-home dad while his wife worked at the hospital or whatever, and she wound up losing her job, man. All right. It says, verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And this is what's going on, where especially these Edomites, they starting to feel the squeeze, they starting to feel the hurt. And so what? They're like, you can't do this to us. We're Americans. We're American. We you can't do all these things. You can't take away our guns. And what the government is actually showing you is like, look, bro, like, it's not just Jake that we don't like. We don't even care about you 2/3 of you Edomites, man. All right, we'll get rid of y'all as well too. Because what? They got their AI and their system that's in place, man. All right. Let me read 18 and then go to 19. It says, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of a lack of bread and for great tribulation. So going back into that article of the protests in Lebanon, all right, they over there living off of $68 a month. So you could only imagine, how hard it is for these people to find food, how hard it is for them to get anything, man. All right, but in America's constantly manipulating their currency to the point to where everybody else's currency is pretty much weaker to the American dollar. I think the American dollar is the top standard in the world as far as value. I don't think there's no other currency more valuable than the American one. But nevertheless, this is also hurting these other countries, right? So when you see these things, like I said, on a smaller scale happening, just imagine when it happens on a bigger scale. It's just happening a lot quicker to these smaller countries. But once it happens to a larger country, it may take a lot longer, but the effect of it is a lot larger, man. All right. So you have all these people that's, America's got more guns in it than they have citizens, right? And there's roughly 330 million people here. Just imagine how many damn guns there are. Let's just say there was one gun for each person, which we know that there's more than one gun per each person. That's 330 million guns, right? These proud ass, what they call them, proud boys, these Edomites and stuff like that, man. They're not going down without a fight, man. You talk to some of these Edomites right now they starting to hate America because why? They're losing their funds, they're losing their money. They feel like they like to say, oh, we're all going to be slaves. We all going to be slaves to the Chinese and to these bankers. They go down that route because now they're starting to see these financial woes, man. All right, but it's only going to be a short amount of time before these people start taking up arms, and like we seen over there with the Capitol riot, until they start, going into everybody else's houses and running them for their food, hitting the grocery stores up and everything like that, man. All right, let these stimulus checks, or now I was going to say, let these stimulus checks run out, but let them keep playing with these people with these stimulus checks. Like, yo, we're going to have y'all not work for like 6 to 8 months, and we're going to give you $600. And people are going to start looking at that like, oh, bro, our government really don't care about us. They forced us to shut down our businesses, forced us to stay at home, forced us not to be able to get income to pay our bills. But then now all of a sudden, they want to quote unquote try to help us out, but then it's like they spit in our face, man. All right. But this is pretty much what you have to look forward to here in America, man. All right. Let me try to grab one more real quick. This is Isaiah 19:2. It says, "And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone and against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." So, like I said, you already seen this catalyst starting to boil up, and we know that these things have been orchestrated by Esau at the top, to predictively program the people. But this is what he's preparing for, man. He's not calling in the military and about to set up this new agency and hire up all these troops just for them to be like, well, just in case some shit happen and don't nothing happen. America don't waste no money, man. Whatever they pay for, that's what they getting, and they gonna use it, man. They don't have no bombs that they didn't create it and not gonna use them. They gonna use their damn bombs, right? Because that's what they paid for. All right. But nevertheless, this is the times that we're living in, and it's only gonna get worse and worse and worse from here on out, especially here in America, man. If you hadn't noticed from 2020 till now, or for 2019 to 2020, your way of life and your comfort and all these things have been deteriorating rapidly, man. And you think 2021 is going to just bounce back like that, man? All right, once people realize that they're not going to bounce back, they're not going to be able to jump back to where they are, they're going to be like, you know what, they're going to lose it. It's just like, maybe you see somebody gambling, shooting dice or whatever, all proud and everything as they winning, and all of a sudden they lose a hand. All right, man, run it back, double it up. I need to get my money back. They be done lost all their money. Now, at the end all be all, Jake want to fight everybody. Nah, fuck that. You ain't taking my money. And you know what I'm saying? That's what you're going to have happen with these here Americans, man. And you already see it being set up on the news as far as what the government is planning for, man. Like I said, they're not buying something that they don't plan on using it, man. All right? So, hey, these are the days you have to look forward to here in America, man. But I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth, and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Till next time, I say stay strong. Shalom.